How are you, Jess? I feel like feels weird because we are so used to seeing each other in the office every day, right next to each other in real life. We haven't somehow been able to spend as much time together. How are you doing?
I
First of
know.
all,
I miss you. I'm doing brilliantly. This is so much fun.
I
I'm like,
felt like I imagined we'd have a lot more like Zoom happy hours together or something, but it's
I
been really
know,
busy.
I know it's so busy, and we were just talking about this. It's a tragedy that the Zoom happy hours sort of held strong for the first week, and then everyone was like, "Oh my God, I'm spending my entire life on a video call." And tragically, the first things to go were not the 10 a.m. daily check-ins, but the happy hours
The
were the
fun
first
parts,
casualty. Yeah, I
the
know,
dance party, the Zoom dance parties went
I
away after
know.
week two.
I know they did. It's tragic, but I'm doing all right. I think a friend of mine, who was very eloquent, said the other day, "Oh, can't complain. Still, kind of want to complain." And I'm like, "Yep, that's exactly where I am. Can't complain. Still, really want to complain." How about you? How you doing?
Good. I think this is a good one for us to talk about, but we're both having pretty big jobs right now in the midst of all
Hmm.
this, and taking on also a different sort of role, like being home with kids and
Yep.
schooling and everybody, and trying to figure out that new way of working. I think has been challenging but interesting,
Yeah,
sometimes fun. Um,
I
but
know.
uh, but it's, how's it been for you? Like, how are you finding, you know, having your new little one with now doing everything you do, and not, I can't see the full outfit. Normally you've got your crazy awesome outfit on every day, dressed to the nines. Are
I
you
have
still dressing
sweatpants
up?
on. Do you know what I know, and I'm craving like color and like dress. I had a dream like the other night that I was at a sort of a ball where everyone was wearing these like insane colors and things like that. And I think I'm just, oh man, I like miss people, I miss fashion, I miss the visual stimulus, I miss all of that. But yeah, on the parenting thing. So I think I think the challenges of this new kind of parenting situation that we all find ourselves in tend to vary quite a lot depending on how old your kid is and what you're sort of dealing
Yeah.
with. And I think both, I think I speak for both of us when I say that we're sort of in a position of like, I consider myself privileged that I have a partner at home who is also helping, and so very grateful for that. But I have an 18-month-old, which is wonderful in some ways because she's not old enough yet that I have to explain to her what's going on and like why mummy and daddy are home all the time. But also really challenging because she's at the point of her life where if we're not watching her, then she will eat toxic things, or like she's like bodily in danger if we're not paying attention. So I have to say, like, balancing that with the continuous partial attention that all of us have all the time at work anyway, that constant like phone checking, being on a video conference, having like 5 different information streams going at once. And she requires like very, very specific attention. And at the moment, that's my challenge. It's just feeling like I can't give it to her and being worried about what happens if I don't.
Yeah, it's interesting. In some ways, I think you were able to separate out so much. And now I'm here and I'm here more and they see me. So in some ways, it's like, great, I'm here. But in other ways, I almost feel like I'm more away from them because they get to see me in this weird way where they
Yes.
walk in and I'm like focused on a call or doing
Yeah.
some work. And it takes a while to sort of switch modes and be like, oh, I can't just like look up blindly to my child who walks into the room. So like it's hard to sort of figure out how to separate like the work that you're doing with now that you're at home, and everything sort of meshed together in a kind of a confusing way probably. And I think we're getting used to it now. The first day or two they were like, this is awesome, you're going to be home every
Mm.
day, but come outside and play with me or do this
Yeah.
thing. And I was able to, I think, do a little bit more, do some of the calls with their schools and things like that, because there's a lot going on and there's a lot of like just figuring out how to do this homeschooling thing. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
lucky in that I have, my nanny here, which I
Mm.
know many don't. But even with that, like her world is shaken up because she was used to my kids, she worked a certain amount of hours.
Yeah.
I'm now trying to figure out when and how I can dip in and out, but them understanding what I do, they're actually seeing like what I
Mm-hmm.
do in a different way and kind of understanding it. But I think it's been pretty probably confusing for them initially. Why is she here, but she's not here at
Yeah.
times? And then
Well,
when is the right time to kind of, meet it, insert myself and then go back into the work work world. So that's been pretty challenging, I think, to navigate.
Yeah, it is. I've been wondering about that quite a lot because I think I always I didn't really realize how separate my work persona and my home persona were. How there were sort of two different Jesses that I was juggling. And then I was sort of thinking the other day, there was a moment in the sort of first week when I was just off a call and I was, doing what I do, like, having like doing my job. And then I turned around and I saw Annie next to me, and it took my brain like a good second to switch into gear and be like, oh no, this is my daughter. I was like, why is there this kid standing next to me? Like my brain was
Why is
still
this
in the
kid in my
office.
office?
Yeah, no, like exactly. My brain was still there, and I'm like, oh, there's a kid here. And I was like, and I hadn't realized until that point, like how separate I was holding both of those things until it became so incredibly obvious. And I think I'm hoping that there's a sort of, one of the things that's going to come from this, just from like a personal standpoint, is like, even though this is brutal and difficult, and as I think many working parents do, I feel like I'm, on a good day, I'm managing like work and parenting at about a 4 out of 10. Like nobody's getting the best of it right now. I do think that there's certain things about having Annie around while I'm working that are making me perhaps more patient and kinder in work. And like some of that stuff some of those values that I associated with parenting, about sort of
Yeah.
just being very empathetic and like, I was hopefully trying to do that before, but I definitely feel myself now kind of bringing some more of that nurturing stuff into my work. And then hopefully, I mean, with, Annie is 18 months, she does what she wants to do, but, I'm figuring out how to parent a toddler for the first time, and me setting boundaries for her is a part of what she needs right now. So I'm hopeful that some of the things that I know how to do at work will apply here at home, and some of the things that I am learning from home will apply at work. But it is wild how quickly those two things have been forced to become one thing.
Yeah. And I think you and I talked about this before, I think a little bit, but there's definitely there's a difference between the people that are working that have kids at home and ones that don't, like I think we're
Yes.
getting this insight into people that don't have kids are just like, wow, I never really saw all that. Now I'm
Yeah.
seeing like all of that. And like, this is what you have. Like you have these two little kids at home who run around, and like, imagine what that's like when you get home, and we're blending it and having everyone see a peek into everybody's world. But it's definitely been interesting to see the difference between the worlds of those parents working hard with kids at home versus those that don't, and just the awareness now that's crossing that border. Right.
It's crazy. And we've been talking about the fact that like, so working parenting used to be a sort of thing that we swept under the rug, or a sort of, a catharsis that we got out over drinks with other working parents, or,
we had our Slack channel to talk.
Something that was kind of, just only in the last like decade, really coming out of the woodwork, and people blogging about it, and people sort of, indicating that, like balancing parenting and work is actually kind of a really challenging thing. And I think the fact that we now have like a sort of 24-hour live broadcast of working parenting happening across the whole of the world, and people are just having to see, you see what's going on. Like Annie is in the background all the time. She's here. Like I can't stop her. One of the things that we're struggling with at the moment is that she's just discovered drawing. She likes to draw, but unfortunately her creative process is very intense, so she can't like draw without shouting. So she's just going,
she's a tortured artist.
Like I know. And I'm just like, oh man, like everyone's just like, is she okay? And I'm like, yes, she's fine. She's just drawing a picture.
I mean, I was on a call the other day, and my son came in and he just held my hair up. He was standing there, just holding it up. But I was like in the middle of kind of a deep thought, so I just kept going. And I was on with some clients yesterday, and they had some kids in the background, and you just kind of hope though that like this isn't just that. Remember that time when it was like okay to have your kids run around and not have to be perfect all the time, or not pretend like this wasn't the reality for every parent, like every weekend or any night that they had to work, right? So you hope that like just witnessing it now, that it doesn't just kind of shift back to where that's not okay again. Like somehow we can take that forward, even though it's kind of crazy and hard, but like it's been nice to be able to break that border down. And how do we let that be something we take away, the good part of it?
And so
It looks like we're coming to an end in a second, Jess.
oh, are we? Oh,
My boss is in charge of me.
Can you wave? Can you say hi? There we
I'm
go.
on headphones.
No, she's just like, nope, like not playing. But yeah, it's crazy. So like basically I think this is
you don't know, like all the things.
No.
I'm like,
everything goes by the wayside.
By the way, speaking of which, that's all changed even now. We are a Lucky Charms Captain Crunch family. I like eat it along with them every morning. There's no rules in COVID time.
No rules. But then doesn't that make you interested? Because when we talk about your personal principles and values, like how much of those principles and values are basically just a product of the context you happen to be in at that point in time. And if that context changes, so do you. So I'm like, it's just really interesting. And I think rather than we're at a point in time where parenting dogma, so like you should parent this kind of way, or like you should adhere to this style of parenting, is so prevalent. And basically all of it's bullshit, because all of it's dependent on things being arranged in a way that enables you to do that style of parenting in the first place. And now I'm just like, okay, cool, everything's gone out the window. So I guess we're a different kind of parent. But yeah, so it's been very interesting for something that's so being a parent is such a huge part of your identity, and realizing how much of that identity is just incredibly malleable depending on where I happen to be standing, and how many global pandemics happen to be going on at that point in time. It's just like, anyway,
we're doing the best we can, Jess.
We're doing the best we can, and that the best I can is
going, and our sanity as much as possible.
It's a solid 4 out of 10. That's like, if I get through the day with a 4 out of 10, that is that's my achievement right now. So
well, all I know is it's made me much closer to all of you guys and my partners too. So yes, I'm pretty proud of everything that we've been able to do together.
Me too. And it's been awesome. I'm sad we can't see each other, but as soon as this is back together, as soon as we're back together, we're going to go and drink wine in the office and eat Cheetos, and it's going to be awesome.
And that's what I've been doing every day. So I will be in full
You're training for our wine and Cheetos party.
Together.
Amazing. Oh, it's lovely to talk to you, love. I'll see you soon.
Lovely
And
to talk
everybody
to you too.
listening, hopefully this was useful. Yeah. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.